What is going on, Pure Evil MMA family supporters? Thanks for tuning in. We have a great episode for everybody here today, only because there's so much that has been going on once again inside the MMA world, the MMA scene. And one of the top things that's been going on obviously went down this weekend with UFC 228, and it did not seem like the UFC wanted it to go in this direction. And we're gonna backtrack. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about what happened at the weigh-ins with Nico Montano, because something about that just didn't feel right to me. And I know it was in their contract. We're gonna talk about all of that. Guys, I know we have a lot of new subscribers here, so make sure you give us a thumbs up here on YouTube, because that will help other people watching shows that are similar to ours find our show here at Pure Evil MMA. Make sure you're telling everybody about it. If you enjoy the content here, tell all your MMA friends and family, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever caught your attention. Wherever we caught your attention, because we got 100 new subscribers just on YouTube, and I want to thank you guys so much. If you are new to listening, make sure you subscribe down below, because we do this show, twice, 3 times a week. We have interviews every day, every other day. We at least have 2 interviews a week, and then coverage of every UFC event that comes around. Upcoming events, like this weekend, I will be at Lion Fight at Foxwoods Casino out here in Connecticut, between Boston and New York. So I'm really looking forward to that. There's a lot of great fights, a lot of great matchups on there as well. So we're going to get there for all the behind the scenes footage. We're going to do another fight companion as well. I know that you guys really enjoyed the first one that I put on, and I think this time I'm not going to use as many other media people, because there's just been, I realized a lot over the past couple of years with like the media scene, and just like I just feel better staying with the people I'm comfortable with. And if anybody's giving me bad vibes, man, I'm not about that. You're cut off. It's a dog eat dog world out here in the media scene, just like it is in the fight world, man. I mean, people pretend like they're your friends, and they're really not at all. There's a lot of delusional people here that just think that they take your intentions as something completely different. Like, everyone thinks people are out to get them. Like, it's really weird. I've come across some weird media members here on the East Coast, but that's besides the point. UFC 228 went down this weekend. Caught all of that, guys. So make sure, if you did not catch the latest podcast that I did with James McSweeney for Gloves Off, we ran down some of the upcoming fights that are coming up, like BJ Penn getting brought back into the mix here. Who wants to see BJ Penn back in there? I even brought up the suggestion of, you know what, let's have BJ Penn, if anything, let's have him do like EBI or something like that. I feel like it would be more comfortable. More fans would be on board with that, at least to me. But let's jump into some of the latest news that's been going down, guys. So a little quick preview for today's show. We're going to be talking about Snoop Dogg, what Snoop Dogg had to say, how he's just a freaking idiot. That's right, Snoop Dogg's, he's on my last nerve at this point. Just the fact that they hired Snoop Dogg over somebody like Robin Black, just, UFC is really, I mean, I love the UFC, but man, it just feels like they're really trying to control the narrative, and just give people that don't deserve shots. Like, Snoop Dogg had no reason to be in there. I had no idea what he was talking about. I understand from a promotional standpoint, but once you start bashing our fighter, like, ugh, it just rubs me the wrong way. Shout out to Mohad Foodie. He did an amazing cartoon that just came out. I just shared it on my Twitter page, so go check that out. Shut up! God damn it. Also, DC's comments about this whole Darren Till thing. Let me just make one thing clear to everybody. I said before this fight even happened that I really thought Darren Till should have had at least one more fight. I did not feel right about the whole Kobe Covington situation of him getting stripped of the title. I mean, it's record breaking at this point. How many titles have been stripped this year? And we're going to talk about Nico in just a second, but the whole Kobe Covington thing, man. It just didn't feel right. I feel like Kobe Covington could have made this moment shine a lot more than Darren Till did. I know there was a lot of people that were backing Till up. They wanted to see him get his shot and see if he can make something of it. Even Dana White, after the fight was all said and done with, I have this perfect screenshot of just the expression on his face. And I'll edit here in the edits, but I should have put it in there. sooner. But check this out. Just the look on his face, just it says it all. It says it all to me. Let me get it here. It's just absolutely priceless. I didn't fucking delete it, did I? Here, I know I posted it on my page. Get the fuck out of here. Yo. Phone's going haywire right now, guys. This is a shit situation. I get so many notifications, and like the way iPhone's set up, it comes up at the top. And if you accidentally click it at the wrong time, it's going to drag you. Here it is. Here it is. So this picture came out, perfect time shot right there of Dana White. Look at Dana White's face right there. That just says it all. And we know that Dana White and Woodley have some beef before in the past of things that have been said. But let's set one thing straight. This is your UFC champion. Are you freaking kidding? Like, why are you back there with a big mean mug on your face? Like, congratulate the guy. A lot of people have been pointing out that Dana White was really just promoting Darren Till this entire time. Any promoting that he's done has been for Darren Till. It was kind of ridiculous, if you ask me. And if this doesn't just show everybody, like, Darren Till, yeah, how do I put this nice? Darren Till, he did a great job beating Cowboy Cerrone, but who knew who Darren Till was up until this year? How many people? Not many people knew who Darren Till was. They didn't know who the guys that he was beating were. He got the fight with Cowboy Cerrone. He opened up his mouth, which is one thing people are learning nowadays. You need to promote yourself on social media and stuff like that. You have to put on great fights. Yeah, that's the core of it all. That's right there. But Darren Till, let's rewind a little bit. How did he get the fight with Cowboy Cerrone? He was calling his bluff, saying his Muay Thai was amateur. That Cowboy Cerrone's Muay Thai was amateur. Then he took the shot and ran with it. And it just worked out so... It couldn't have worked out any better for Darren Till. Then what happens? Darren Till gets brought to a UFC press conference. He didn't even know who he was going to be fighting, but they did this whole little premiere for him. The lights all dimmed, a big projector screen opened up, and there was this big promo that played for Darren Till. And it was about, his rise, his come up, and then the curtains opened up. It was this great theatrical moment. He comes out. I believe it was Dan Hardy that was interviewing him at the time, and was like, "What's going on? What's the announcement that you have?" And Darren Till says, "I want Wonder Boy. I really want Wonder Boy." And it took me by surprise because there were so many other fights that I thought he could have called out. This was the number one contender at the time. I understand, go big or go home. But the big hit on the UFC a lot of the time is they have a rising star. Like Lando. Who's another one that just recently blew up? Mark DeCasey. Who's another one? Yair Rodriguez. Where they're coming up and they feed him to the Sharks too early. Now, I've been getting a lot of backlash by saying that I thought Darren Till should have at least taken one more fight before getting the title, especially since Kobe was the interim champion. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's just the truth. It just doesn't seem right. The UFC is trying to control the narrative way too much here. These guys are you're giving. First off, even with Woodley was getting fucked over. I mean, he was like, if whoever beats, what was it? I believe it was the Woodley versus Maya fight, and he was like, whoever wins this fight will go on to fight GSP at Madison Square Garden. Then Woodley wins, and Dana White acted like he never said it. Now, I want to get on the bad side of the UFC. It just seems weird, man. And this whole Nico Montano thing, let's move on to that. That's another thing where it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I understand, the UFC in the contract says if you're a champion, you don't make weight, you're going to get stripped of the title. Something along those lines. But how many times have we seen something similar like this? Like with Max Holloway. Like with... there's definitely more people that... Amanda Nunes. What about Amanda Nunes when she was set up to fight Valentina the first time or the second time for the rematch, and it fell through because she had sinusitis, which was like a form of vertigo, or look into the details of that, but she wasn't cleared to fight. And you could say, Well, he defended the title. She defended the title before that. Well, first off, since when does one championship belt mean less or more than the other? From weight class to weight class. If you're the UFC champion, you should be treated like a UFC champion, in my eyes. You set the season Ultimate Fighter up for Nico Montano to go on. Not many people thought that Nico Montano was going to win that season. They had people like Barb Honjak on there, people like Lauren Murphy, Roxanne Modafferi is the number one contender. There were a lot of great girls on that season. Sarge Eubanks, who rightfully should have got the title fight in the finale, but she couldn't make the weight. The whole point of setting the season up was to get a champion. Now, if that wasn't your actual plan, if you wanted Lauren Murphy to win the title, if you wanted Barb Honjak to win the title, and it didn't go your way, it doesn't mean that you can treat this champion like she doesn't matter. I think Nico also rubbed UFC the wrong way earlier this week when she was saying that they wanted her to dress up in some like Indian war paint or something like that, which we've seen this go terribly wrong in the MLB with the Cleveland Indians, right? They had to change their mascot logo and it got ugly. But I do understand what the UFC was trying to say, like kind of be prideful, like make this part of your story or something people can relate, identify you with. I've been saying it. In MMA, there are new fights every 15 minutes. There's a 6-hour event going on. You have all these people showing up or watching on TV or what have you. What is it about you that's going to make them remember, that's going to stick with them? Whether it's your walkout song, which I was laughing at Luke Thomas because we all know that he's against Sweet Caroline, womp womp womp. Like, I know he's against that. I know he's against Bring the Pain or whatever. But when you are, say for instance, you're 6 years old, your older brother, like I bring my sister to some MMA fights. She's there and she doesn't know who any of these fighters are. She just knows there's going to be action. What outside that is going to make it a fun experience for her? Whether it's walking outside, talking to the fighters that are doing autographs and stuff like that. But what is it about the fighters of the actual event that's going to stick with somebody? You get a fighter like Darren Till coming out to a badass song like that, and the crowd is singing in unison. It's going to make you feel like you want to be a part of that, right? Like, you're going to remember that, even if the fight fucking isn't the most exciting fight and they still win, you're most likely going to go home and follow them on Instagram, or if they have an upcoming fight, you're going to be like, oh, that fighter made me feel good. There's something about him that just clicked with me. I understand that part about, the UFC wanting to promote Nico Montano, but Luke Thomas, man, come on, you can't be that harsh on it. Let's see if we got anyone in the chat room right now. What happened to my chat room? Did it close out? Let me actually pull up the desktop cam here. I mean, this was actually a really good event, but it was just so upsetting that Nico Montano could not get the fight with Valentina Shevchenko. And I did think it was a little weird that it only took what? So she missed weight like an hour before the weigh-ins. Then we find out that she's getting rushed to the ER, that the fight's off. What was it, like an hour after that, they stripped her the title? Like, did they really care about their fighter's health? Did they call to make sure that Nico was okay? Or did they just want to strip, like, I don't know, man. It's just something about that feels wrong. I understand 20% of me, maybe more. I say about 30% of me understands the UFC's point, but 70% of me thinks that first they could have done it a whole different way. It just felt so wrong to strip this girl while she's in the emergency room. Her kidneys are failing her. She's trying to put on for your promotion. And you could come back at me with the points of like, Ed, she's the champion. She knew this fight was coming. She should have been on weight. She should have been around weight. She was just on the Ultimate Fighter, where she had to make weight like, 4 times in a couple of weeks. And she had no issue doing that. So why now, all of a sudden, is she having these issues? And also people can say, this is a great point of why we shouldn't open up any more weight classes, right? Because it's like, no matter if we even open up the men's 165-pound division, like I would actually personally like to see that. I have a Conor McGregor, GSP. There's a bunch of guys. You can have top 10 in a heartbeat. There's so many guys at late weight. There are so many guys that would love to be at 165, and it's just not there. And a lot of people go, well, this is the issue. There's going to be guys still depleting themselves. Girls are still going to be depleting themselves because they're going to think that they have an advantage in that weight class. It's not going to change a damn thing. So how do you go around this? How do you go about this? How was it that Nico Montano was so off of weight that her kidneys started failing? You don't hear about this and correct me if I'm wrong, you don't hear about this much in college wrestling or just other sports that are, it's brutal, man. And my heart goes out to Nico. But it just felt like the UFC wants Valentina to be the champion, and rightfully so. She is a great person to market. They have her sister Antonina there. Did you guys even check out the open workouts with Antonina and Valentina Shevchenko? Listen, I've followed Antonina Shevchenko's Muay Thai career in the Lion fight for the past couple of years now. I was there for her debut the day that she was originally supposed to debut at Lion Fight for the title, for the vacant title, and her opponent ended up not making weight or something. I was there. Nobody knew who she was. I don't even think Valentina was there that day. Maybe she was. Yeah, she was. She was. But no one knew who she was. Now, lately, in the past couple of years, people are like, oh, Valentina Shevchenko, she's coming up the ranks. People are noticing her. Especially she's, at Lion Fight, blonde girl. Like, you're not going to miss her with her, Shevchenko fight kit on. The last 2 years have been huge for the Shevchenko sisters. And now with Antonina in the UFC is willing to market the first sister duo inside the organization. And I think they did an amazing job. I think they did it from a PR standpoint, a golden performance for those open workouts where it was actually entertaining. It was almost like dancing. They were out there, and let me see if I can actually pull it up. Actually, I probably can't because we're streaming right now. But you know what? Maybe I can pull it up here because I really want you guys to see this, how on point it was. And I definitely understand the UFC wanting to get behind that and push them as, the next era of women's mixed martial arts. And there's a lot of great matchups that you can have, like with Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And we're going to talk about Jessica Andrade in just a second, but give me 1 second. Valentina Shevchenko and Antonina open workouts. Let's see what pops up here. Here it is. Let me just try to find like a highlight of it. UFC 228. Because I don't want to get flagged either. Let me pull it. Yep, we're in. All right, let me fast forward this. And they're both out. And these two girls are awesome. They're so quiet. They're so gentle. I mean, the first time I met them, I did a face-to-face interview with both of them. Antonina got her title. We're at Foxwoods. I had a cameraman with me. It was around Christmas time. Valentine even posted a picture of us together under the Christmas tree as the post-fight championship picture. I'm on my knee underneath Valentina. They're just a great group of people. The coaches. There's another guy that's always shadowing them. I don't know if it's the manager or whatnot, but he does all the emails and stuff. So it's got to be the manager. But the coach Pavel, he took a bullet for Valentina. Check this out. This is just so perfect. They're really blooming right now. So, like I said, I understand why the UFC wants to get behind it. This was the co-main event. Dana White was probably backstage banging his head against the wall that this fight didn't go through. And I was even getting behind Nico Montano throughout all of this. I was like, I think this fight's going to be a lot more competitive than a lot of people were expecting it to be. Check out this fight footage here. Let me see if I can get the glare out of here. See, it's almost like a dance that they're doing. So if you were, the day before the fights, you're hanging out around there, it's free to watch. This is pretty entertaining. This is a lot more entertaining than a lot of the other fighters that go out there and just, hit mitts. They're in sync. There's music playing in the background. It's inspiring if you're like a young girl or, twins. Like, this is cool. Got to get behind that, man. So the UFC definitely wants to start pushing that. I 100% get that, but something about this whole Nico Montano thing didn't feel right. Let's move on. Let me know what you guys think about it because it's really been on my nerves the last couple of days. Let me know on Twitter, evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. Also on Instagram at pureevilmma_. So Snoop Dogg. Let's talk about Snoop Dogg because Snoop Dogg really, he's an idiot. Snoop Dogg is an idiot. I love your music, Snoop. I love your music, bro. But you're an idiot. You do not know what you're talking about when it comes to the UFC. The UFC hired you for Dana White's Who's in a Contender series. You didn't know anything about any of. You didn't do any research on any of the young up and coming guys. It's understanding like Faber can be dealt with all that. UFC kind of wants me here as kind of to be silly and whatnot, and he did his job, but he crossed the line a couple of times. Matt Brown was mouthing off about it. I was mouthing off about it. It was rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. Ian McCall was pissed off about it. Well, this weekend, he did it again. Snoop Dogg is watching the main event between Colby Covington and Darren Till. And he thinks Darren Till is actually Colby Covington. Oh, did I just say it the wrong way? Snoop Dogg was watching Tyron Woodley versus Darren Till, and he thought it was Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley. Let me get you guys the clip here. Snoop Dogg, UFC 228. It's so cringy. It makes me so fucking mad. It really does. Let me see if I can just find that one clip. Here it is, guys. This is so bad.
Yeah, the gorilla that ran up on King Kong, Tyron Woodley. Beat his ass. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. Beat his motherfucking ass. Fuck Donald Trump, nigga. Beat his ass. For all the niggas out there, cuz, whoop this motherfucker.
He thinks that's
Whoop
Colby
his
Covington.
motherfucking ass. Beat his this motherfucker, cuz. Fuck Donald Trump, nigga. Whoop him, cuz.
Darren Till does not talk about Donald Trump, bro.
Whoop him. Whoop him, cuz.
So, in a second, this is my favorite part. In a second, we all know that Woodley beats Darren Till via a dart stroke. Snoop Dogg goes, they call that the dart. Yo, they call that the dart. I was like, no, you're digging yourself into a deeper grave. Oh, yo, they call that the dart. No.
Shit out of them. It's the dart. They call this the dart.
No, I'm getting dizzy. They call this the dart. They call this the dart. What? Who told you that, Snoop? Who told you that? They call this the dart.
Whoop him, cuz. Choke the dog shit out of him. It's the dart. They call this the dart. Tap this nigga out. Tap his bitch ass out, nigga. Yeah, nigga. Black Panther, nigga. Wakanda. Tap out, nigga. Wakanda, nigga. Wakanda forever. Fuck Donald Trump, nigga. You ain't no gorilla, nigga. You's a fucking ding dong.
Ding dong. My cheeks hurt from laughing. Like, what was that? I would love to literally just watch. I would love to watch fights with Snoop Dogg. Don't get me wrong. That was fucking hilarious. Don't get me wrong, but Snoop, come on, man. Know who you're talking about. This looks so cringy on your end. Fuck Donald. Yo, they call this the dart. They call this the dart. And yeah, you have people like Robin Black out there doing magic, making his breakdowns into poetry. If you never seen a mixed martial arts fight in your life, you will understand what Robin Black says. But yet they give the opportunities to people like Snoop Dogg. Yeah. Okay. What did you guys think about that? They call this the dart. Ugh. Moving on. That was just something else. I'm just reading something right here. It says that Nico Montano is actually saying that UFC didn't even call her, which is actually pretty weird. Let's talk about some other fights that were on here. Jessica Andrade defeating Karolina Kowalkiewicz. That girl is on a different level right now. And I know it's like, this is the perfect way you got to look at a situation like this. Going back on Jessica Andrade, she obviously lost to Joanna not that long ago. And since then, she's gotten better and better and better and better. She's had the perfect comeback in the past year and a half, 2 years. When was this fight that she had against Joanna? Let me go to her profile really quick. I'd say it was like, what, a year and a half ago. She lost every single round on my scorecard. Jessica Andrade, 19-6. Her last loss, so she's on a 3-fight win streak right now. The loss was May 2017. Before that, man, she was on a 4-fight win streak. So since losing to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, she's beaten Claudia Gadelha, and that fight is like my go-to fight for Jessica Andrade. It's like, what's your favorite Andrade fight? It's got to be that. But after this weekend, it's without a doubt her one-punch knockout of fucking Karolina Kowalkiewicz. That was really, you never see that in this weight division. How often do you see something like that? Absolutely brutal, man. First round, 1 minute and 58 seconds. Before this fight, she beat Tisha Torres. But let me say something about Karolina Kowalkiewicz, man. She is a warrior, and I would not mind seeing her change weight classes. Or I say this all the time as well. People like to judge fighters on their last 2 fights, but when you are at the top 5 in the division, it gets really fucking difficult. Like, if you're look at Jim Miller, for instance, perfect case. Who did he fight this weekend? Let me see really quick. It was on like the fucking prelims. Where is it? Jim Miller versus Alex White now. Jim Miller destroyed Alex White. But leading up to this fight, Jim Miller was on a couple of fight losing streak. I think the last time he won was 2016 against Diego Alves. He lost to Dustin the Diamond, Showtime Pettis, Francisco Trinaldo, and Daniel Hooker. People were writing off Jim Miller in those 4 fights. But if you know who those 4 fighters are, they're the top of the division. Man, this is the fight world, man. This is the fight game. It's not gonna be. You can't rate somebody off. Listen, if you, how do I compare this? So say versus the top 5 is the MLB, the top 10 is AAA ball, right? Or the top 15 to 10 is AAA ball, 10 to 1 or the championship is the MLB. Jim Miller going into the MLB in the top 10, facing people like Dustin the Diamond, who's been on a fucking savage killing spree. That fight was fucking amazing that those two had. Dustin the Diamond got busted up in that fight. Jim Miller was, oh man, that was a great fight. I believe that was on the top 5 fight of the year back in 2017. After that, Jim Miller loses to Anthony Showtime Pettis in a decision. Another good fight. After that, Francisco Trinaldo. Unanimous decision. Francisco Trinaldo was on like a 11-fight win streak until recently losing. After that, losing to Dan Hooker, another top guy. So you go from facing, top 5 talent guys, top 10 talent guys, and then you go into a fight with Alex White, and no bash on Alex White. But there were so many people that picked Alex White over Jim Miller because they just ripped Jim Miller off. Without remembering, he's been, fighting with top guys in the division. He's going to get better and better and better. You might say he's a little worn, he's a little older, but man, he looked great in this fight, and that's all you need to say here. Again, the rear naked choke in round 1. Absolutely crazy, man. Absolutely fucking crazy. This is the guy who beat Artem Lobov, the GOAT, Alex White. So shout out to Jim Miller, man. Huge shout out to Jim Miller. Jessica Andrade, again, the one over Karolina. Zabit, man, submission knee bar over Brandon Davis, taking this fight on short notice. Leading up to this fight, they had Yair Rodriguez. I kind of broke this down in the preview show that we did for UFC 228. And man, I really wanted to see Yair Rodriguez versus Zabit. Yair obviously didn't want this fight. It ended up working out in his favor. But I would love to. So Zabit calls out Chad Mendes at the end of this fight, which, set your aims high, but man, you're like 15th, you're ranked 15th right now. You just beat a guy who wasn't ranked, took the fight on short notice. Be careful, bro. Be careful. And I don't want to see him get thrown into the dogs, into the wolf den. I do not want to see that. We've seen this mistake so many times where you get like a couple of good performances with a guy. Look at freaking Thomas Almeida is a great example for this one. Look at Thomas Almeida. He was just savage 2014, 15, 16. And then we go into 2017 or end of 2016, and it just went to shit, man, when he was trying to, look at the upper echelon. But it works both ways. Look at freaking Cody Nolov. Cody Nolov took real difficult fights and was able to shine in those moments. But sometimes it just does not work out. I think that the UFC can really get behind someone like Zabit, but be careful with them. That's all I'm saying here. You got to be careful with stars in the making because we don't have many stars right now. John Jones isn't around. Ronda Rousey isn't around anymore. Like, even just knowing if they were around makes you a little bit more excited. Like, someone's next in line to be a big superstar, and I can't wait to find out who. I mean, it's not like there's never going to be more huge-ass superstars. There's a kid out there right now that we don't know about. 10 years from now will be the biggest name in the UFC. Just keep that in mind. Cycles always moving. The waves keep coming in, man. Waves keep coming in. Jimmy Rivera getting back on track, beating John Dodson via unanimous decision. Jimmy Rivera is a fighter we've had on the show a couple of times from Tiger Schulman's. He was on like a 20-fight win streak. Gets the matchup against Marlon, gets knocked out in that fight. He wants to bounce back from that. You see this with a lot of fighters. They lose. They want to bounce back. We saw it recently with even Michael Bisping. Didn't work out in his favor, but Jim Rivera wanted to get back. Frankie Edgar, another prime example of a fighter who loses, wants to get back on track. Jim Rivera did just that, and he did not take an easy opponent either, man. Dodson's looked phenomenal at this weight class. I mean, I know he's been a little hot and cold, but take nothing away from John Dodson, man. He is one fucking animal, and I thought this was going to be really similar to John Lineker versus John Dodson. But we saw Jimmy Rivera just work all out between the kicks. Like, I can't break everything down for you, but he just looked so good in this fight. Was able to get the nod on all three judges, or it was unanimous decision. So, Jimmy Rivera moving forward. Who would you guys like to see him fight next? I know he's been trying to call out Dominic Cruz, but at this point, I think Dominic Cruz versus Jimmy Rivera is like the fight to make right now at featherweight. Let's see who we got in the featherweight division before we leave this subject. Or not the featherweight, the fuck am I talking about? Bantamweight division. Obviously, we got TJ Dillashaw up top, and Henry Cejudo came out this weekend saying that it hasn't been announced yet, but the UFC is excited and on board with TJ Dillashaw versus Henry Cejudo. And I would love to see that fight. I really would. So let's see what we got going on at bantamweight. TJ Dillashaw is the champ. Cody Nolov as the number one contender. Dominic Cruz, number 2. Rafael Assunção, so underrated. He's always been underrated. He beat TJ Dillashaw and then lost, obviously, in the rematch. But his name's right there in the pot. No one gives this guy the credit he deserves. You could say it's because he doesn't get knockouts or, what have you. But his last couple of performances, man, what can you say about that? The Matthew Lopez fight. Underneath Rafael, you got Marlon. I would have Marlon versus Dominic Cruz. I would love to see that. And remember, Rafael Assunção has a win over Marlon. When Marlon came into the UFC, they matched him up against Rafael Assunção. Threw him right in the wolf pack. They did kind of the same thing with Justin Gaethje's giving him Michael Johnson. You may not agree there, but man, that was a competitive fight. You can't deny that. Underneath Marlon's Jimmy Rivera, number 5. Under that, John Lineker. Under that, John Dodson. Under that, Aljamain Sterling, the Funk Master, also getting a win. Pedro Munoz, Cody Stamann, Rob Font at 11. Thomas Almeida at number 13. Ronnie Yaha, top 15. Oh, wow. Ronnie Yaha, man. Love Ronnie. Shout out to Ronnie Yaha. He's on a 2-fight win streak right now, bouncing back in. I always said that he's hot and cold. Right now, he looks good right now. He looks great. Henry Cejudo in this flyweight division, though. Demetrius Johnson. I think deserves a rematch, honestly. Last thing I'll say about that, but Cejudo was saying that he wants to get this boat moving. He wants to get this division moving, make it, make people want to tune in to watch these smaller guys fight. Like they say, they pay by the pound in mixed martial arts. Let's see what we got here moving forward. DC commenting on, this is the last thing I'll say about the main event that we had against Woodley versus Darren Till. I thought, did you guys see what DC was saying after the fight was said and done with? About, Darren Till not being super aggressive in this fight. He was trying to do what Connor does, with that lead jab followed by the uppercut or whatever it is. Did a great job breaking that fight down, and it just seems like to me, last time I'm going to say it, it was too soon for Darren Till to take a fight against Tyron Woodley, who's coming off some phenomenal performances against some of the best names in mixed martial arts. You didn't know who Darren Till was up until this year. Fucking admit it. I don't think Darren Till is somebody that we can write off. He's definitely deserving of a top 5 spot. Let's face it, he beat Cowboy Cerrone. He beat Wonder Boy. We cannot write this guy off, but I really thought he at least deserved one more fight before getting this title shot, just to prepare himself. Because ask him right now, if you could ask Darren Till right now, and I believe he said after the fights, he was just like, he wasn't pulling the trigger. He should have been more aggressive. He usually likes to ride the storm out and then, start connecting the dots, and he didn't do that. And he paid for it. Darren Till, let's see who we got in this division really quickly. The welterweight division is a stacked division. Colby Covington at number 1, Darren Till at number 2, RDA at number 3. RDA versus Darren Till. That's a fight that should have happened before this. Robbie Lawler versus Darren Till. That's a fight that should have happened before this. Cowboy Cerrone was a huge name to call out at the time. Big Brown, Brandon Shaw, had no idea who Darren Till was. Even apologized afterwards. Because he did beat Cowboy Cerrone. But before that, in 2017, he fought Bojan Velikovic. And I remember watching that fight upstairs with one of my boys. It was an exciting fight, but it went to decision. What is Velikovic's background? He's not a top 15 guy. Before that, he beat Jason Ayari in 2017. Wendell Oliveira back in 2015. Darren Till's been in the UFC since 2015. We didn't know who he was up until this year. Yell at me all you want about the subject, guys, but I really think if Darren Till had one more fight, he would have been better prepared for somebody like Woodley. Get him in there against somebody like RDA or Colby Covington first before giving him to Woodley, because now you're taking 3 steps back. You know how hard it is to build up that momentum again? It's very difficult when you are... Look at Francis Ngannou. How many people were behind Francis? Dana White pumping up, feeding his ego. Dana White was feeding... Yeah, we were feeding his ego. Joe Rogan was feeding his ego. Man, the knockouts that he was getting there, there's a reason why we were fucking... had our jaws drop like a 1930s cartoon whistling at a burlesque dancer. This is exactly what we wanted, a fresh new face in the heavyweight division when it came to Francis Ngannou. Then he gets the title shot too soon against Stipe Miocic, who exploits him and shows all these holes in his game. Then the UFC, Dana White, and everyone starts bashing on him afterwards, saying that, he's got an ego problem and this and that. You guys booked the fight for him. You guys set up a press conference for Stipe and Francis, and you were sitting there while Stipe was there with the belt. You were sitting right there promoting Francis Ngannou as like 320 horsepower punching power. This guy hits harder than a Mack truck going 75 miles an hour. Like, Dana White doesn't do that kind of promotions much anymore. We all know that. Unless he believes in somebody. And believe me, if that was you sitting there, winning these fights, knocking these dudes out, people were praising you, being like, you're the next big thing. You are the superstar. You're the answer to everything. You're a specimen. And they're saying all this shit while the champ's right there making him seem like a nobody, making him feel some type of way. That ain't right. Like I said at the beginning of the show, the UFC is trying to control the narrative, and now Francis loses. Oh, he's taking 3 steps back. It's hard to build that momentum back up. Not the same situation for Darren Till. I'm not saying that at all. No one's really bashing Darren Till. Matter of fact, they're bashing more of Woodley, not congratulating him. That picture I showed you guys a moment ago. Do you know what was not happening? You can say that's just a snapshot. You can pause this show any second. I'll be making some goofy ass face. Obviously, I always do. Especially in the thumbnails when they upload, I'm always like doing some weird shit. Just mad funny. I look forward to those little moments. So you can kind of say that. But it just didn't seem like it's the way the UFC wanted things to go. I don't think you got to be a genius to see that. And it's happened twice this week between Nico and Woodley. It's just, it just doesn't seem right. But the best news ever, guys, right now, UFC 229 is next. Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and people saying, they're not getting behind this. The Conor's not doing much press or promotion. Well, me and James McSweeney broke all of that down on episode 5 of Gloves Off. We also spoke about why we had to get rid of episode number 3. We were going to get sued by Mike Swick. So we had to take it down. James McSweeney explains the entire story there. We speak about BJ Penn coming back, who's going to be fighting Ryan Hall, season 22. Finalist with Artem Lobov. Well, he wasn't really a finalist, but the Wizard. He was definitely a huge part of that season on Team Faber. That's a great fight, but I brought up the idea of EBI. That's where BJ Penn should be going. But last thoughts here, Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. If you didn't hear what I had to say on the show, it's Conor McGregor. I'm sure they're going to do one press conference. That's all it's going to take. That's all it's going to take. But what worries me is the media days are part of Conor's game plans going into these fights. And you could say, well, Khabib's not going to put up with that. He's going to say, why you do this? But there are some things that can get under anybody's skin. We thought the same thing about Nate Diaz. He wasn't going to get under Nate Diaz's skin. And then he says the whole thing about, blowing up balloon animals and teaching kids jujitsu. And I know that's actually kind of cool that you do that, Nate. But the way he put it and everything, they were getting back and forth, getting each other's head, throwing water bottles. I mean, that's the shit we need. Is it going to take a hit from that? I haven't really heard many people, usually when Conor McGregor has an upcoming fight, everyone's talking about it. I'm excited for it. I'm tossing and turning at night thinking about what's going to happen. People think it's going to be a landslide one way or a landslide the other way. I don't even know what to think right now. And that's the next pay-per-view coming up. But there are a couple of really good cards as well before that. I believe there's 2 cards coming up before we get into that UFC 229 preview show, which we will be doing. Everyone's going to be talking about it. So there is time in between, guys. There is a lot of time in between. So the story is not over yet. So we are far from over when it comes to UFC 229 promotion and talking about that. But our next upcoming fight is this weekend, September 15th. Mark Hunt versus Oleinik. Man, the guy has over 60 fucking 70 fights in mixed martial arts. He just beat Junior Albini. Now he's going to be fighting Mark Hunt, who's ranked number 8. Mark Hunt, man, every time. I mean, if you don't look at his record, which is 13-12, he's just a beast, man. Stopping the hype train of Derek Lewis. I mean, he's been in some of the biggest fights. His walk-off KO of Frank Mir not too long ago, which is actually up on UFC YouTube right now. The fight that he had with Bigfoot Down Under. Fight with Roy Nelson. Beating Stefan Struve, Czech Congo, Ben Rothwell. I mean, this goes all the way back, man. And yeah, he's had some rocky times, but he's just, in 10 years when we're still watching the sport, Mark Hunt's going to be one of those names that we're going to miss. He's going to be one of these guys that was just, a staple in mixed martial arts heavyweight history. Whether he was on a downfall or uprise or his beef with the UFC, no matter what it was, Mark Hunt is a huge pioneer in my eyes at least. You know, I get every time Mark Hunt shows up, you could be like, you know, what Mark Hunt is going to show up, but you know it's going to be a good fight at least. You know it's going to be a good fight. I love watching Mark Hunt fight. I love the lead up to it. I love all of his supporters. Just, he's still top 10. And let's actually see what the top 10 in the heavyweights are right now, because that's actually a pretty interesting subject. Let's go to the heavyweight division. Obviously, we got the champ, DC at the double champ, Stipe at 1, Derek Lewis at 2, Curtis Blades at 3, and Curtis Blades is going to be fighting Francis Ngannou. Me and James also spoke about that, got the storyline going because it's very interesting. Like I was saying a minute ago, with Francis Ngannou, now he's on a 2-fight losing streak. He's trying to build back up the momentum, trying to get over his ego problem, but giving him somebody that he's already beat, it's definitely got to help grease up the trigger for this fight to be motivated. Like, I already beat this guy, so, you know, I got this one in the book. Not be overconfident or undermine Curtis Blades. And I'm picking Curtis Blades to win this fight. Well, Francis Ngannou, this is a great fight for him here. He's at number 3. Curtis Blades number 3. Number 4, Francis. Number 5, Alexander Volkov, Drago. Number 6, our man Alistair Overeem. Number 7, JDS. JDS versus Tai Tuivasa also coming up. James McSweeney actually had a fight with Tai Tuivasa. The fight before Tai Tuivasa got signed to the UFC, matter of fact. A very big up-and-coming name in my book there. Tai Tuivasa versus JDS is going to be a great test for TT. TT, do you love me? How could I not? Sorry about that. But yeah, man. Mark Hunt still top 10. Tai Tuivasa is 10. Are you on 10 yet? Bam, bam. And number 11, Olenek. 12, Arvlovsky. 13, Stefan Struve. 14th, Shamil Abdurkimov. And 15, Justin Willis. Big pretty. So, you know, a lot of familiar names in there, but mixing it up a little bit. You know, this whole fight with Francis Ngannou versus Curtis Blades. I can't wait to see that fight go down. All right, so before we end today's show, last note of the fight before UFC 229 goes down September 22nd. Jimmy Manuwa going up against Thiago Santos. Interesting. That's going to be free as well. Or what is that on? Yeah, it's UFC Fight Night Live on FS1. Oh, and you know what? Mark Hunt versus Olenek is actually only on UFC Fight Pass. Let me throw that in there. Interesting. All right, but let's check out this Manuwa card. Manuwa versus Santos. Cowboy Oliveira versus Pedasoli. That's going to be a great fight. Sam Alvey versus Big Nog. Big Nog still doing his thing, man. Sam Alvey, 15. Big Nog not even ranked. Big Nog, man. The age that he's at, 22-7. Sam Alvey, 33-10. Renan Barão versus Andre Ewell. And you know what? We spoke with Andre Ewell. Andre Ewell coming off fresh off a win against our boy Sweetbread, Dennis Piva, over at CES. Flew from California to the East Coast in someone else's backyard, beat Sweetbread, comes on my show for the post show, and says, I go, you know, what do you want next? Are you going to defend the title here on the East Coast now that you took it? And he goes, man, to be honest, I'm looking to get in the UFC. He said it right here on the show. First interview, exclusive, right here on Pure Evil MMA. He's going to be fighting Renan Barão. Throwing him right into the wolves right there. Right into the wolves. Very exciting guy, too. Let me say something about Andre Ewell. Make sure you follow him. Let me give you his Instagram, because he has a really, really interesting Instagram. I think it's at like D-A-I-I. Yeah. DAII 42. This guy, check this guy out. I love this guy. Hey, well that wasn't he does a lot of funny stuff on his gram.
Hey, shout out to all my Hispanics and Spanish family in Puebla, Mexico. Hola, mi gente, los amos.
I don't know what that means. Let me find you guys a good one at least. You know what? There's a There's a really good video that he made before his fight with Sweetbread that I really want to show you guys because it was real badass. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. Give me 1 second. Here's him dancing. Yeah, he's training over it with Rufus. I mean, he's got some shit going on. UFC Bantamweight, CES Bantamweight People's Champ. Manager Dodge Sports. Sponsored by the Turf House. Hashtag Afro Monkey. So he's going to be fighting Henan Barao. I'm looking forward to that, man. Henan Barao, man, there's a lot of people that give him slack. The guy is 36-6 on his record. That is damn good. I know that he's, been having some trouble. At one point, he was one of the best. You can say what you will about that. He's on a 2-fight losing streak right now. His last win against Philip Nover back in 2016. I actually interviewed Philip Nover before that fight. I think that was Nover's last fight as well. Before that, last win 2014 against Mitch Gand. I mean, ever since 2014, the fight against TJ Dillashaw, UFC 173, where he lost the title. Then he lost again in July 2015. Wow, that was a free card. The TJ Dillashaw versus Barao 2. That was a free card. Champ fight. Wow. And I remember watching that. We had a huge fight party. The build-up for that, which is so on point. So on point. Some good times, man. Some really good times in mixed martial arts. And this weekend was a great card. You know what we do on every episode before we end? When we're doing a recap of a pay-per-view or a UFC card or Bellator card, whatever we're recapping, we give a rating, 10 being the best, 0 being garbage. I have to give UFC 228 a 9 out of 10. Just being the storyline and narrative of Woodley versus Till and what that fight meant. A fight that we didn't talk about, Carla Esparza versus Tatiana Suarez. What that fight meant to the women's division there. Tatiana Suarez, a lot of people are on board with her being the next big thing in the division. Rose Namajunas has to watch out. Jessica Andrade as well. A big fucking win for her. Filling in as the co-main event to really shine, put on in that moment as you're filling in that gap. That's your time to shine. She did exactly what she should have done, which people can only dream about happening. That's huge. Fucking huge. Aljamain Sterling on board. Who else do we got winning this weekend? I mean, just the entire card was just so exciting all the way through. Even Jim Miller getting a win finally. With the Tatiana Suarez fight, Carla Esparza, it was, Carla's chance to really prove that she's still got it. She can beat these young up-and-comers because she has been on a little hot streak. Her and Felice been on a hot streak. Tatiana Suarez, man, she's just something else. And she has such an inspiring story. Most recently, I put down one of our mascots here for Pure Evil MMA. Our original 2 pet rats, me and my ex, Angie Jabs. We had we had like 9 rats, but we had 2 white ones. And we let you guys name it, our supporters from day one. Or name all of them. When we had to put Princey down 2-3 weeks ago, Tatiana Suarez sent me a message sending her condolences, and it really meant a lot. Also on this card, Jimmy Rivera getting the win over John Dodson. That was huge. Getting back in the mix. Diego Sanchez getting the win. 9 out of 10 on my book. So let me know what you guys scored for it on Twitter, evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. Also on Instagram at PureEvilMMA_. Guys, here on YouTube, they don't like to let you know when I go live. So if you are subscribed, make sure you hit that little notification bell as well. So every time I go live, it will let you know. You'll get notifications sent straight to your phone. What else we got to say here? Oh, I want to do a giveaway, guys. I want to do a giveaway, and let's start it right now. We're going to do a giveaway starting right now. Go onto the Pure Evil MMA iTunes page. Leave a review. Take a screenshot of that review. I want you to be honest, too. I don't want some bullshit of, Evil Eddie, you're the best. Give me your honest truth. What you love about the show, what you think I can do to improve the show, what you would like to see on the show, guests, whatever you want. Be honest. And I'm going to randomly pick 2 people to win a special merchandise surprise. It could be a mug, it could be a t-shirt, it could be a poster. It could be one of those 3 things. Go to iTunes, leave the review, screenshot it, send it to either my Twitter or my Instagram. I will randomly pick 2 people by the end of this month. So it's September 11th today. Well, the anniversary of September 11th, man. I remember that day. It was rough. I was in 5th grade. Teachers brought the the old dresser TV where you had to like roll it in the room. Thing was like this high. It could have fucking fallen over on you and killed like 4 people at once. They brought that in there. There was a newscast. The principal got on the intercom. And then the second plane hit. And I live right here in Connecticut, so I'm in between Boston and New York. And there are parts of Connecticut you could see the smoke from the shores. It was bad, man. It was bad. There was kids in my schools whose families were lost. My family comes from a medical background. My stepfather was a firefighter at the time. God rest his soul. He didn't die in the Twin Towers or anything, but he died of brain cancer 2 years ago. But it touched really close to home, man. One family, matter of fact, his father was in the trade center. He got pulled out of school. He was crying his eyes out when the news heard. He got pulled out of school. We never saw him again. And we used to have to drive by his house every day to get to school. And the grass just kept getting longer and longer and overgrown. It was like a nice brand new house on a really nice town. It was just so sad. Very, very sad. 17 years later now here. 17 years later. But, man, yeah. So, not to change notes, but at the end of this year, where's the end of this year? Off track. At the end of this month, we're going to be doing the giveaway. So make sure you send it to me in a DM on Twitter or Instagram. Last but not least, guys, if you want to get some merch on your own, and we got merch for as low as $4. That's right, $4. 1, 2, 3, 4. $4. $3.99. $4. You got Pure Evil MMA sticker. It looks pretty similar to this. Get that? Slap it on a mug, slap it on a stop sign, slap it on your computer, slap it on your mom, slap it on your girl, slap it wherever. Teespring.com/pure evil summer. That's TEESPRING. Teespring.com/pure evil summer. PURESUMMER. Ha! Nope. Sorry. PUREEVILSUMMER. I gotta stop smoking so much weed, man. I can't even spell things anymore. Guys, last reminder, this weekend I will be at Lion Fight. So I got all that action coming for you between behind the scenes interviews, also the post show that I'll be doing with a whole ton of those guys on press row, backstage, directly after it's let out. You can watch it live at flowcombat.com. I'll be giving updates throughout the fight at mymmanews.com and on my Twitter page. Besides that, guys, I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, mymmanews.com. Remember, without evil, there's no purity. Behave yourselves.